Hello friends, welcome or rather welcome back. This is Dr. Rohit from Rohit International Training Academy. Well, this session is going to be a demo session on leadership. There's a lot to learn in leadership. We'll be just starting with the basics of leadership. So first we'll learn about the basics of leadership. What is a leader and how is he important? Further we'll learn about the various styles of leadership, the various types of leaders, the various situations where leadership is important, and the various situations where a leader needs to take the charge. Further, we learn about the behavior pattern of leadership, and we learn more about leaders, about their thinking, and about how they executed their plans. So first of all, let me just ask you something. Why do you think leadership is important? We can get our work done, we can cooperate with each other, we can participate together with every plan, with everything, or why do we need to listen to someone? Why do we need to be guided by someone? The main answer lies where leadership is important because we have to reach our goals. We need someone who can guide us so that we can work together collectively to reach our goal. As simple as that. So let's talk about leadership. So this video is going to be a free demo on leadership. There's a lot to learn about leadership. This is just the basic brushing off the basics on leadership. Hope you all enjoy this video. And first of all, thank you for watching my videos and subscribing to my channel. Well, we have started our enrollments for the personal management. I gave one free demo session on decision making, and now this is another free demo session on leadership. There's a lot to learn on decision making. There's a lot to learn about leadership. This is just the basic. So hopefully you guys get the hang of the basics so that we can then further complex things for you and we can build on the leadership module for you. So let's start with the leadership module. So first thing about leadership, why do you think leadership is important? Because this act of leadership brings success to potential of organization and its people. As simple as that. I have an organization, I have 20 people working with me. They know their work, but they are not coordinating, they are not cooperating, and they are not listening. Everyone does their work and leaves home. So what happens is that whatever potential my organization has, with a little management of time and people and resources, I can reach my goals in a very effective manner. So if 20 people are working under me, under my organization, and if I manage their time, if I manage their goals, if I give them targets, and if they work accordingly, so that the organization can work effectively. So leadership is important. There's a lot of difference when we talk about leadership, managerialship, or manager, or a leader, or a boss. There's a lot of difference. Even when we say that, okay, I'll give you an example. Why do we think that sometimes people who have a lot of money or who have a lot of success in their life fail to be a leader? Because it is different. It's a very different thing. They fail to be a leader, or they fail to take their charge. Sometimes it happens, and these things should not happen. Leadership is a thing which is a skill, and it can be developed. Leadership can be learned. This is what I believe. Where there are various theories about leadership, there's a theory which says, great man theory, which says leaders are born, not made. There's another theory which says that there is a thing which says that about trait. The leadership is in the behavior of the person, the way the person behaves. The person has a charisma, and this is specific in few people, and this is called as the trait theory. There's one more theory which is called a situational theory, which says that situations are there in certain situations. Some people need to take charge and they become the leaders. Then we can further classify leadership into behavior styles, as per their attitude, as per their requirements, and we can further classify behavior or we can further classify leadership styles into situational theories, where the situation demands a leader. this is all about leadership. So let's start with our session on leadership. Hopefully you all are getting hang to my conversation and getting hang to the way I speak. So even if you're not getting everything about leadership or everything you did not understand about decision making or leadership, it's okay. When you enroll with us, I'll be helping you out. Even if you get 50% or 40% out of it, you should enroll with us. So let's start with leadership. Out of 10 people, I have someone who is representing us. So that is the leader. The leader will guide us. So we'll talk about leadership definitions. So let's first talk about leadership definitions so that we are very much aware of what we are talking about. So here we start with the definition. DIMOCK and DIMOCK says, leadership is not power, dominance, social superiority, or anything suggestive of snobbery. Leadership is influence on people, not power over them. So DIMOCK and DIMOCK says that leadership is influence on people and not power over them. So if I want 10 people to listen to me, I should influence them. And if I power them to listen to me, the next time when I am weak or I am ill or I am not in a position, they will not listen to me. So leadership is a thing which has an influence on people, not power over them. So just an influence. Second definition is Warren Bennett says, the single defining quality of leaders is the ability to create and realize a vision. As I said, I just gave an generic example that I have 10 employees under me. So the single defining quality of leaders is their ability to create and realize a vision. So if I think about a vision that 10 people working under me and we have a target of around 1,000 books to be published. If I am the leader, I can guide them and we can get 1,000 books published in a day. And if there is no leader and everyone does their work, the printing employees go on a break as they want. The office is not working and functioning as it should. So I may not reach the target of 1,000, I may be reaching somewhere 300, 400, 500. But if I systematically have a vision where we all are working together, so I'll get the work done, I'll influence the people to get the work done, and we'll have 1,000 books per day. Third definition by Mooney is leadership is that authority assumes when it enters into process. So leadership is the form that the authority assumes when it enters into process. So leadership is when we enter into a process. Fourth is by Robert TANNEBAUM, which says leadership is interpersonal influence exercised in a situation and directed through the communication process towards the attainment of specialized goal or goals. So we have specialized goals and we have leadership is the interpersonal influence exercised in a situation and directed through the communication process towards the assessment or attainment of specialized goals or goals. Fair enough. Next thing is about FAVOURS and L.G.NIGRO. They say the essence of leadership is influencing the action of leaders. The essential quality of leaders is that they are convinced something must be done and they persuade others to help them get it done. Very good example of leaders we have, like 1 week we can say is about Nelson Mandela, Karl Marx, Max Weber, Henry Fowler. Further we can have Mahatma Gandhi, we can have Napoleon, we can have Kautilya. There are many leaders, many thinkers, and there's a lot of list which goes on. So as and when we are going on with the leadership module, I'll be talking about each of them personally about the video session, and we'll be discussing everything about them. So everything under leadership, whatever style, whatever behavior styles, whatever attitudinal styles, whatever employee relations, which one leadership is suited in which kind of situation. So we'll be dealing with everything. So some leaders are like born like king and queen. Some are appointed leaders, leaders of a union or leaders of a factory union where a new factory is being set up. Some leaders are leaders who are appointed and some are elected. some are politicians, some are bureaucratic. So every leader has to face a different situation. Every leader doesn't have the same situation, and so the leadership styles changes. Where we have to think about everyone. We will go for a participative kind of leadership, where we have to think about only subordinates, which is very rare, but then we will have to go for a subordinate-centric leadership, where the manager takes the charges, where we have the leadership. It depends on what kind of leadership he wants to have. Which one would be whichever situation he is in. If he thinks participative, where everyone employee participates and everyone gives their suggestions and he thinks about them and then take a decision, then that would be a participative kind of leadership. So this is what leadership is all about. And leadership is nothing but then when we talk about leadership, we have to develop the leadership qualities. We have to think about the defect where we are losing on. So let's talk about leadership further. We'll move on. Now let's come to a point where we'll be talking more about the definitions given by, let's talk about MP Follett. MP Follett says that a leader is not the president of the organization or head of the department, but one who sees all around the situation and understands how to pass from one situation to another. A very important definition given by MP Follett, where I totally agree with this definition, where a leader knows how to pass from one situation to another. Next definition is given by Bernard, which says leadership refers to the quality of behavior of individuals whereby they guide people, their activities in an organized effort. The definition from Bernard says leadership refers to the quality of the behavior of individuals whereby they guide people from their activities in an organized effort. I totally agree with that. Now let's move on with the next definition, which is given by Terry. Terry says leadership is the activity of influencing people to strive willingly for mutual objectives. Yes, there are mutual objectives and people should be influenced to do it willfully. Moving on with the next definition by Kate Davis, which says leadership is the ability to persuade others to seek defined objectives enthusiastically. Next definition by Sackler Hudson, which says leadership in large organization may be defined as influencing and encouraging people to work together in a common effort to achieve the purpose of the enterprise. So frankly, all these definitions define only one thing, that we have a common objective and we are influencing people to get the desired goal, to get the desired result. Now the next definition, which says which is given by News and O'Donnell, is leadership is the activity of persuading people to cooperate in the achievement of a common objective. Now let's move on with a few more definitions. We have two more definitions, once by James Root. James Root says that leadership is an influence relationship among leaders and followers who intend real changes that reflect their mutual purposes. So there needs to be some changes which can be brought about by the leader, and there's a relationship between the leader and the followers, and they intend to bring about the change for the mutual purpose. And the last definition which I have right now for you is Wendell French, which says leadership is the process of influencing others in the direction of a goal or set of goals, or more broadly towards a vision of the future. So Wendell French says leadership is the process of influencing others in the direction of a goal or set of goals, or more broadly towards the vision of the future. So if I can visualize what future me and my employee should have, and what are the goals we should be, and what are the activities we should be taking care of. What we are setting some goals, we have to reach that goals by the end of 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, and the future is around the next year, let's say. So if we reach our short-term goals and long-term goals, we can visualize our future, and we need a leadership for that. So me and my employees are working, just giving you an example, me and my employees are working hard to reach our goals, to create our future. So this is what the definition says. So now let's move on with the basics of leadership. So let's talk about leadership. Very excited to know about this. So Keith Davis says, without leadership, an organization is nothing but a muddle of man and machines. And why leadership is important? To bring successful functioning of an organization, to attain certain goals and objectives, to bring success to potential of organization and its people. Very well said. So in my opinion, so let's talk about leadership, what I think should be the leadership style, where I say sometimes it is democratic style, or we say it's autocratic style, or it's participative style, or sometimes it is laissez-faire styles where subordinates are given the freedom to do their work. But then there is a situation which defines which style of leadership should we adopt. So leadership style depends on the situation, the kind of followers I have. Sometimes I have people who are very mature, sometimes I have to guide people. The mindset of the people, the approach, the position, the personality, the function, the power, the sociability, the emotional intelligence of the leaders, the judgment and the integrity of the followers. Further change in leadership style as and when required for the leader to succeed and retain the position in today's world. So there sometimes we need to change our thinking so that our followers, we do not lose our followers. Sometimes some few of our acts or few of our things which we do, which is our behavior or which is our attitude, sometimes we tend to ignore something, we tend to be overprotective or something, or we sometimes take a stand which our followers might not like. So a little change in our attitude, a little change in our style can get back our followers. So this is what leaders need to learn. Leadership qualities which are desirable. What are the leadership qualities which are desirable for a leader? It will be courage, willpower, judgment, flexibility, knowledge, integrity, energy, persuasiveness, decisiveness, the power of taking decisions, the power of influencing others, initiative to take new projects, creativity, to be creative, vision, you should have futuristic vision. If I take a decision, what will be the consequences and what is going to be the effect of that. Emotional intelligence, understanding my employees, my subordinates, my followers, acting in accordance with their needs, with their emotions, so that nobody gets hurt at most of the times. Then Bernard adds further. Bernard further adds a few more qualities which are desirable for leadership. He says stability in behavior, vitality, endurance and intellectual ability. So where Bernard adds stability, vitality, endurance and intellectual ability. So a leader needs to be intellectually a very intellectual thinker, and a leader is supposed to be a very intellectual person. He needs to run his brain all the time. So let's talk about, because if he doesn't run his brain, the competitor might run their brain, and then the followers and the leader will be at a loss. So intellectual ability is one of the things. Apart from management and people management, leadership includes intellectual ability. Let's talk about leaders. What is the leader's base of power? If I'm a leader, what can be my base of power? Is one thing can be my knowledge, my resources for dispensing favors. I have resources. Rewards and penalties, where I give rewards to my people for working good, penalties for not working good. Formal authority, I have the authority where I am appointed, and further I have the authority to punish and to delegate duties. Next thing is charisma, distinct personality and further characteristics. So leadership functions. What are the leadership functions? David Bowen and Stanley Seashore, they say there are almost 4 functions: support, emphasis on goal, facilitation of work, and facilitation of interaction. So these are the 4 things which are to be taken care by a leader. This is the leadership function, is to support and to increase the employee morale. Second thing is emphasis on goal. So increase enthusiasm towards goals so that people and employees work to reach the goals. Support to increase the employee morale so that the employee says someone is there to support me and I come to work daily and I daily work as per as my limit and as per as my ability. Facilitation of work. If the employee is not happy with the conditioning of air or with the coffee shop or with the coffee machines or if the facilities of the work culture or the work environment, then planning and coordinating so that the employee's health is not affected. Further, facilitation of interaction. There should be interaction and a leader should encourage the interaction. So let's talk about a few styles of leadership. One is autocratic. The first one we talk about is autocratic. Autocratic is a leader who is tough, benevolent, and manipulative. Autocratic doesn't listen to anyone. Autocratic gives orders. But in this case, followers are sometimes and many times they are emotionally hurt. Followers are sufferers most of the times. So if they get a chance, they will change the leader. This is most of the times. This happens, autocratic takes place where we have king and queen, but sometimes if the followers are blind enough and they trust you completely, they may not change you. But if the followers are mature enough and if they think that change is the need of the hour, then you should change your leadership style a little. Second one is participative. Participative is, as we see in democratic and consultative things, where participate is in organizations, where we find participative, where employees participate and they are also a part of decision-making process. Third one is laissez-faire or free rein or no leadership at all, where we have given the whole freedom to our employees to work as per their needs and as per their wants, and we have to just reach the goal of 1,000 books to be published. So employee comes here at 9 o'clock, finishes work at 4 o'clock and leaves. Sometimes the employee comes at 10 o'clock, finishes at 6 and leaves. So this is affecting the system of the organization, the working and the functionality of the organization. So if laissez-faire is subordinate oriented or the employee oriented, which will not give fruitful results for a long time. Because there is no authority which is governing them. So let's talk about the theories of leadership. Great man theory, trait theory, and situational theory. So when we think about great man theory says that leaders born, not made. Napoleon. But then this theory has no scientific basis. It's a very speculative theory, and this theory is very misleading. Next theory which comes is about trait theory, where leadership qualities or traits which can be acquired. Like we spoke about all the leadership qualities: persuasiveness, decisiveness, initiative, creativity, vision, willpower. All those qualities, they say that they can be acquired. Some of the qualities which leader possesses is intelligence, self-confidence, integrity, sociability. Now we come on with the next theory, which says situational theory. Now situational theory by HERSEY and BLANCHARD, which says leadership is specific and relative to the particular situations in which it occurs. And I totally agree with this theory. Leadership is specific and relative to the particular situation in which it occurs. There is a relationship between organization goal and leadership style. If my goal is to reach 1,000 books to be published with 20 employees in one day, there needs to be a leadership style which will have the maximum influence on my employees, so that my employees work towards achieving that goal. I cannot just give orders, or I cannot just have employees to work at their will, or I just cannot give everyone taking suggestions from everyone and publish 1,000 books. I have to have a certain leadership style. So let's talk about further traits and skills characterizing good leader vary from group to group and situation to situation. So the traits and the skills which are required for a leader, it depends on the followers, it depends from the group to group and from situation to situation. So few leaders and thinkers. Let's talk about a few leaders. We have Cortelyar, Henry Fayol, Woodrow Wilson, Mary Parker Follett, Frederick Wilson Taylor, Max Weber, Luther Gulick, George Elton Mayo, Justin Bernard, Herbert Simon, Abraham Maslow, Douglas McGregor, Chris Agres, Frederick Herzberg, Francis Likert, Fredericks, Karl Marx, Peter Drucker, Dwight Waldo, Yehiel Dror. So what are the types of leaders? Let's now talk about the types of leaders we have. We have traditional leaders, we have the known leaders, the king, the queen, the people around who are known for generations. The traditional leaders can also be the king and the queen. Then we have the appointed leaders, where we have a few people who have been appointed, who have been selected based on their work. Then we have further the bureaucratic leaders, then the expert or the functional leaders who know about who know about their field. Functional leaders or expert leaders, a leader in medicine, a leader in computers would be one. The charismatic leaders who have certain traits or qualities which will attract people towards them. The informal leader, and then further we have so these are the kinds of leaders we have. So the informal leader is the leader who is not formally appointed, but he is a leader. So let's talk about the traditional leader. This position is assumed by birth and hereditary. Kings and queens, tribal leaders and leaders of family businesses come in this category. The known leader, his position is required by the fact that everybody understands him. So there's a known leader, that is the king, the queen. The aristocratic leaders come in this category, and then further the priest. Third one is the appointed leader, where his position is legitimized by the fact that he or she has gone through a process of selection and appointed in accordance with the rules of organization. His role and functions are formalized in the organizational structure. So the appointed leader can be a manager. So he or she has gone through a process of selection and appointed in accordance with the rules of organization. His role and functions are formalized in the organization structure. So now let's move on with the next point, where we have the bureaucratic leader. His position is legitimized by the rank held by him. He is found in military structure and more complex and sophisticated commercial and public organization structures. So the bureaucratic leaders are the leaders we have right now are the public policy leaders, the one who works with the politicians, or the one who works with commercial and public organizations, and the military structure as in some countries. So now next we have is the expert or functional leader. His position is secured by the virtue of his expertise, for example, industrial officer or finance officer. Next we have the charismatic leader. His position is secured by sheer force or of his or her personality. Many leaders come in this category. Mahatma Gandhi, Winston Churchill, and Adolf Hitler. They have some qualities in their personality, and their position secured by sheer force of his or her personality. So their personality gave them the position. Then we come about the next point is the informal leader. His position is not formally distinguished by rank, appointment or tradition. His position depends upon his personality, charisma, experience, expertise, command on resource, etc. Position achieved by some other activity. This can be an example where we have the leader of a union. So let's now talk about the difference between a leader and a manager. So what is the difference? A leader, a manager, a boss. Boss will give order, manager will get the work done, and a leader will influence you, in short. So let's talk about the basic differences where we have the difference between a manager and a leader. A manager administers, a leader innovates. A manager copies, a leader is an original. A manager maintains things. A leader develops people. A manager focuses on system and structures, whereas a leader focuses on people. A manager relies on control, where a leader inspires trust. A manager has the short range view. He just wants to get his work done. 1,000 books today, 1,000 books tomorrow, may not be after 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, where a leader has a long range perspective. Manager asks how and when. A leader asks what and why. A manager has an eye on the bottom line. That's the target I have to achieve for daily. So that's the daily target or weekly target, where a leader has an eye on horizon. A manager initiates, where a leader does the right. Further, a manager does the things right. By the end of the day, he does the things right, somehow settled everything. Whereas a leader does the right thing. So this is all a difference between a manager and a leader. Further, about situational leadership, there was a thing which was given by Follett, which says situational leadership is about depersonalization, that is the giving of orders. Second point is about unite all concerned in a study of the situation. First thing is giving orders, second thing is uniting everyone. Third is discover the law of the situation and obey that. Discover the law of the situation. What is the situation demanding? That we work overtime or we work from 9 to 5. Then fourth one is one person should not give orders to other person, but both should agree to take their orders from the situation. So if the situation is demanding that we have to publish, for example, we have to publish 1,000 books a day. So 4 of the employees of the publishing department should understand the situation and work accordingly. 4 of the people from the editing department should understand the situation and work accordingly. 4 of the people from the paper department or from the supply department should act accordingly. Next thing is about Fedler's contingency model. Let's talk about a few models which I want to learn and which I want you people to understand. So as and when we have the advanced leadership modules and the advanced leadership video sessions, we can talk about them in detail. So one is Fedler's contingency model, where we have asked Fedler around, suppose we have 20 employees in our organization. So what Fedler suggests is that least preferred co-worker. So these 20 people are randomly asked to give a rating about 1 to 8. So where we have a very uncooperative person will be given 1 and very cooperative person will be given 8. Very guarded person will be given 1 and very open person will be given a rating of 8. So it's a scale where you rate, where high least preferred co-worker, where we have the high least preferred co-worker will have human relation orientation, and where we have low least preferred co-worker, where my subordinate who is working with me, I will give him he's very uncooperative, he's very guarded, he's not open and he's not cooperative. So I'm just giving him 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. So he has got very low least preferred co-worker grades. So So he will be having a task orientation. So he'll be busy with his task rather than human relations. And the person whom I am giving, who's asking me for lunch, who is asking me for coffee, and who is greeting me every morning, I'm giving 8 out of 8. But then about his task orientation, it will be a question mark according to Fadler. His more orientation will be towards greeting you, towards taking you for lunch, towards taking you for coffee, rather than working on and sitting on the desk and reaching the target of getting 1,000 books published in a day. So let's now talk more about leadership theories, where we have leadership continuum, Ohio State Studies, Michigan University Studies, managerial grid studies, and Lenses-Likert model of 4 systems of management. So Lenses-Likert model and 4 systems of management. So these are the studies where we have, further we have more studies where we are talking more about the 3-dimensional model, the Fedler's contingency model, the path goal theory, the situational theories, and the leadership decision theory, and the HERSEY and BLANCHARD situational approach. So we have behavior theories and we have situational theories. So in behavior theories, we have leadership continuum, Ohio State Studies, Michigan University, managerial grid, and Lenses-Likert model of 4 systems of management. So in leadership continuum, we have Levin, Lippitt, and White. They gave us authoritarian, democratic, and laissez-faire style. So, and they find that democratic style is the most effective in the leadership continuum. If we have to continue the leadership, democratic style is the most effective. Then the Ohio State Study says that Fleischman, Rice, and Burt, there is initiating structure, this directive type, and consideration, that is participative type. So we have two kinds of two types. We have directive type and we have consideration or participative type. Directive is giving orders, participative is where we have people who participate. So combination of high initiating structure and high participating structure and high consideration. So these people are saying that when we have a leadership style which is about behavior, so in this behavior style of leadership, when we have people who can participate and we can have we can give high directions, we can give orders, and as well as we can have high participation and we can delegate orders also. So this kind of leadership will work well according to the second studies. Now the third one we have is Michigan Studies, where Michigan says this was given by Lenses-Likert. This is production centered and employee centered. Either leadership can be production centered or it can be employee centered. Either I'll think about only employees, or either think about only work. To get my 1,000 books done, I will not think about the 20 people working day and night, or I'll think about the 20 people and their work environment, and I will lose my target. So I may lose my target. So when these things happen, they say employee-centered relationship works well. If I think about 20 people and if I give them what they want, enough breaks, coffee, work, good work environment, and think about their health, I might be producing more than 1,000 copies a day. Next one is managerial grid. So these studies were given by Robert Blake and Jane Moulton, where they say improvised, where they have various styles, various types, where they say improvised, country club, which is people concerned. Then they have task, which is production concern. Then they have middle of the road, which is moderate people and task or production concern. And then they have further they have high concern for where we talk about them, where they further say that the most effective style which they have is about high concern for production and people. So there is one thing which they feel is that if your concern is only production, your leadership might not be that effective. If your concern is only people, your leadership might not be that effective. If you have a low concern for people and more for production, you might not be that effective leadership style. You might not be adopting that effective leadership style. And if you are concerning only on people and not on the production, you might be losing on your production. So that is not also effective style of leadership. So what should be your concern? Your concern should be about high concern for the production as well as for the people. So this is the fifth one, which is the team. And now let's talk about the 4 systems of management, that is Rensis-Likert model. When we're talking about Rensis-Likert model, what we are supposed to have is that 4 types of let's say 4 systems of management, that is authoritative, exploitative, where I give authorities, 20 of the people have to listen, come on the time set by me, leave at the time set by me, not take enough breaks except my permission, do the work as per their being directed and ordered. So this is authoritative and exploitative. Sometimes they feel exploited. They have their family problems, they have their family issues, they have their issues with finance, they have their issues with the work culture, but then nobody complains. Second thing is benevolence, authoritative, where I'm taking the authority and I want to get the work done. So I'll have a little concern for the people as well as for more for the work. Third one is consultative, where I consult with the people and the work that I have to get the work done. And fourth one is participative, where I consult with them. Okay, if 9 to 5 is okay with you, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and I'll set the time for them. I'll consult with them. Where the fourth one is about I'll talk to the employees, participative, democratic. Fourth one is participative and democratic, where I talk with my employees what all they need, what all are their difficulties in work, what all do they want to be improved. So when I talk with them and when I get to know and what all is in my budget and what all can be done, if I do that immediately, so I will be developing a style which is called as democratic style. That is the most effective style of leadership. So my employees or my people who are following me will work accordingly. So more effective styles would be where a leader is a developer, a leader is an executive, a leader is a bureaucrat, where a leader is a benevolent autocrat. And the least effective style is where a leader is a missionary, where a leader is a compromiser, where a leader is a deserter, or where a leader is an autocrat. So let's talk about further situational theories of leadership. We have around 6 theories of leadership, and with this we'll be closing our leadership module. So we have 6 theories of leadership. First one is 3-dimensional model, which was given by Redin, which says task orientation and relationship orientation. So further he says effectiveness is about where we have an effective leader. His effectiveness is whether he's an executive, whether he's a developer, whether he's benevolent, or whether he's bureaucrat. And if we have ineffective leaders, leaders who compromise, leaders who do not talk much, leaders who are autocrat, leaders who are deserter, leaders who are missionary, who have missionaries, almost a person who is not very much goal oriented or profit oriented. So we have missionary, where we have compromiser, where we have who doesn't involve in a conflict, basically missionary. So, and then we have autocrat and then deserter. These are the least effective styles of leadership. So now let's talk about more about the second step, where we have the Fedler's contingency model, where given by Fedler. He says task structure, leader-member relations, leader's position and power. So these 3 things are very important. Task structure, what is the structure of the task? Leaders and members relationship, and then further leader's position and power. So Fedler gives us the least preferred co-worker and ASO, least preferred co-worker, and assumed similarity between opposites. So 2 scales which are being used. Assumed similarity between opposites is ASO and LPC. So further he says that when we have this Fedler's contingency model, thing we need to care about is about the least preferred co-worker and the assumed similarity between opposites. So unfavorable or extreme favorable, we need a task oriented leader. So if the things are very unfavorable or extremely favorable, so we have a task oriented leader who will work well. The style of leadership would be task oriented. Where we have let's say moderately unfavorable or moderately favorable. The situations are moderately unfavorable, moderately favorable, not that good, not that bad. So where we have human relations oriented leader, we should understand our employees. So in this kind of situation, we have human relations oriented leader that will work well. So now next let's talk about another situation where we have the path goal theory. When we're talking about the path goal theory, what we need to learn about the path goal theory is that it was given by Martin Evans and Robert House. So expectancy theory of motivation, employee characteristics and environmental pressures. So path goal theory focuses on two things: employee characteristics and environmental pressures. So path goal theory further says that either we can have directive leadership, or we can have supportive leadership, or we can have participative leadership, or we can have achievement oriented leadership. So it can give 4 types of leadership can be there according to them. So let's talk about directive or supportive or participative or achievement oriented. Now let's talk about the next point where we have HERSEY and BLANCHARD, which give a situational approach. HERSEY and BLANCHARD have given a situational approach where the model focuses on maturity of followers as a contingency variable affecting the styles of leadership, where the maturity of your followers defines the kind of leadership you should follow. So first one would be kind of leadership would be telling, second thing is selling, third thing is participating, and fourth thing is delegating. So if I have 20 people who have joined me today under me for my office work, so first thing I would be according to the maturity of their work, according to maturity of followers, I'll be giving them orders, telling them how to do the work. Second thing would be selling, okay, or teaching them. Then third thing would be participating, involving them into work, and fourth thing will be delegating or giving them orders. Now let's talk about one more leadership decision theories, which was given by Victor Vroom and Phillips Yeaton, where Victor Vroom and Phillips Yeaton says that quality of decision, time required to take the decision, and degree of acceptance of the decision by the subordinate. So Victor Vroom and Phillips Yeaton for the leadership decision theories suggest that is the quality of the decision, time required to take the decision, and the degree of acceptance of the decision by the subordinates. These all things are the variables. What is the quality of a decision, what is the time required to take the decision, and how was the decision accepted by the people for whom the decision is taken. So 5 styles of leadership, he says: authoritarian approach, where he gives A1 to A2, consultative approach, where he gives C1 to C2, and then fully participative approach G2. He's giving this 5 styles of leadership based on the situation. So now let's move on with the last situational theory, which is called as situational continuum, which is given by Robert TANNEBAUM and Warren Schmidt. So Robert TANNEBAUM and Warren Schmidt, they gave a situational continuum model which has a leader, which has a subordinate, and which has a situation. So further they say boss-centered relationship and subordinate centered relationship. They further say, they are saying that there can be only two kinds of relationship. Either it can be boss centered leadership, or it can be subordinate centered leadership. So either the leadership can be defined into two ways, where I'm only thinking about my 20 employees, that is the employee centered relationship, or I'm thinking of my profits and my vision and getting the work done. So that is boss centered relationship, giving orders, getting the work done, and getting more and more of projects from employees. So that is boss centered relationship. So this was all a brief you can say introduction about our leadership module. We'll be discussing each and every module and each and every model in detail. We'll be discussing about them, which situation affects which kind of style would be better, where we need to look more about the employees, where in situations where we have followers who are not listening to us, what to do, and why do sometimes leadership fails. So these are all the things which we are going to learn in our leadership module. Further, the mantras for leadership will be given by me, where I'll be talking more about how what is the more effective way of leadership, how a manager should act or how a leader should act, which can be a more better response to a situation or better response to something which is new or something which is coming to you. And further in our decision making also, we'll be talking more about critical decision making, we'll be talking more about project management and all those things. So hopefully this was all I intended to cover in the my session on leadership introduction. So we are open for enrollments for the Rohit International Training Academy, that is RITA, and this comes under personal management module. So the leadership introduction, decision making. Further we will be having a lot more about the leaders. We'll be talking more about their leadership, what all the situations they faced and how all they emerged as a leader. We'll be more talking more about the attitudes, morals, the integrity, the values, the aptitude, the intelligence, the emotional intelligence. Further we'll be talking more about the leadership theories in detail, and then we'll be talking about the decision making also, work motivation theories and the organization structure. So these are the things which I think we all should cover in our personal management module. So we are open for the enrollments. The enrollments right now for the foreign nationals, the payment is around $1,200, and for the Indian nationals it's around 35,000 rupees. So thank you for watching my video. This is Dr. Rohit from Rohit International Training Academy. And one more thing I wanted to share with you. Right now I am just my voice was not that clear because I have throat infection, and I have been suffering from when I started the plan of making this academy. I've been having my health issues. I've been eating out for quite a while, and I've got some rashes, I got some fever, and it has been like it has been a challenge to run this academy, but then whatever it gives me pleasure and it gives me happiness where I set up this academy. Maybe I have more challenges to overcome, but then what would be the final result would be my students or would be my enrollees learning more about leadership, learning more about decision making, learning more about work motivation, learning the right thing the right ways, learning more about the emotional intelligence, which I intend to teach in my academy. So these are all things which gives me pleasure more than my sufferings. So hopefully you all enjoy watching my videos, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel Rohit Productions and to enroll with us. This is Dr. Rohit signing off from Rohit International Training Academy. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you and have a great day.